BYU's been very clear that they want to find the right fits, and it's more quality versus quantity when it comes to being a program in BYU. That they legitimately have aspirations of playing for a Big 12 title. They want to play in the college football playoff, and they want to have sustained success at or near the top of the Big 12 conference. Well, guess what? That requires pretty darn good talent that you bring into this program. And BYU landed their second commitment of the 2027 cycle yesterday. And Ezra Sanelivi out of Liberty High School in Nevada. If Liberty High School sounds familiar, it should. It is actually the high school that Kai Nacua, the oldest of the Nacua brothers, played at before the Nacua family moved to Utah and then ultimately saw guys like Puka and Tei, who is currently on BYU's roster, play at Orem High School. But Kai was a star at Liberty High School, playing some DB and quarterback before ultimately becoming one of the more revered safeties in recent memory in BYU football. And obviously the Nacua name is synonymous with greatness. Well, the next stud coming out of Liberty High School for BYU is Ezra Sanelivi, it appears. And he is a 3-star prospect out of Liberty, has had back-to-back seasons of about 800 yards rushing the past 2 years. And I'm going to throw this up here so you guys can watch his highlight reel as we're discussing this. But the thing about this is Ezra shows, I think, all of the skills that BYU running backs coach Harvey Unga values in his running backs, that namely being he's a big body, because they list him at 6'2", or excuse me, sorry, not 6'2". Harvey Unga is 6'2", 5'11", but he's listed between 210 and 215 pounds. And as you watch his highlight reel, and if you're listening to this on YouTube, you're going to see, if you want to go listening on the audio format, you can go to YouTube and check this out, or just Google his highlight reel. You see a young man that has a very good vision. And that's one thing in BYU's run game, their concepts, the outside, inside zone concepts. Running backs have to have elite vision to obviously set up the holes that are being created by BYU's offensive line. Obviously, they will run some power every so often, but more often than not, when it comes to zone running, you obviously see the offensive line surge one way, and then you're kind of knifing your way through the first seam that obviously opens up. And that's the type of game that Ezra Sanelivi shows here. He's a big-bodied back, which is exactly what guys like Tyler Allgeier and LJ Martin currently are. And as an 86 rated prospect, he's obviously not a top tier running back, but shows plenty of ability, I think, to fit into what BYU's construct is. And let's also talk about the fact that LJ Martin, he is going to be done after this season. He has a shot, if he goes over 1,300 yards this year, of being the all-time leading rusher in BYU football history. And I hope he accomplishes that. But after he leaves, there is going to be a void that BYU will have to fill at running back. And that is where I am interested to see if a guy like Ezra Sanelivi, even though he'd only be a freshman, can step in and be in the mix for that. Sione Moa, who's been expected to be the Batman to LJ's Martin this year. He will obviously be expecting, in his mind, I think, to be the next bell cow back for BYU. But also Devaughn Eka, who is already enrolled at BYU. I'll tell you, he went to high school literally down the street from where I live at Lehigh High School, and I love his skill set. There are talented running backs on BYU's roster, and I've just named 3 of them there, including Ezra Sanelivi here, who are going to be expected to compete for playing time next season. But the nice part is they'll be given every opportunity to do just that. And I think that Sanelivi's skill set, it fits exactly what the mold of what Harvey Unga and the BYU offense under Aaron Roderick's direction have asked for from the running backs in eras past. So, I like this pickup. I really do. I think it's a savvy pickup, and this is a guy that Harvey Unga has been chasing for quite some time. Reportedly, according to guys like Jeff Hansen, somewhere around a year in terms of what they've been doing and trying to find guys out there on the market in terms of running backs. And when you scout guys as heavily as BYU does typically, because they're thorough. Let's just put it this way. They're very thorough in what they do in terms of going about finding the athletes that they bring into their program. And I absolutely think that this is the type of fit that, while it may not be, like I said, a 5-star prospect, these are the type of guys that BYU has made hay on for the entirety of Kalani Sitake's tenure. I'll reiterate a point I've made multiple times on this podcast for any that are new. Often BYU's brought in 2-3 star prospects during Kalani Sitake's tenure, and they have ultimately ended up getting 4 and 5 star production out of those players. None bigger than a guy like Tyler Allgeier, who was essentially a star prospect. I think he was 2 stars when he ultimately got to BYU. He was a walk-on and emerges as an NFL running back and figures to be a starting running back this year for the Arizona Cardinals. So you can accomplish a lot of things at BYU, and I think that's the selling point for a guy like Ezra Sanelivi is he's looking at what BYU has done with their running backs, the Jamaal Williams, the Tyler Allgeiers. LJ Martin is on his way to the NFL as soon as next season, and I'm sure Ezra is thinking in his own mind, hey, I'm the next guy. I've got next, as the young bucks like to say out there. I'm going to BYU, and I'm going to emerge on the other side as the next star back in BYU's offense, and we've seen a lot of really good running backs play at BYU in the last 10, 11, 15 years, and even all the way going back to his position coach and Harvey Unga. Played is a relative. I got the opportunity to line up across from Harvey Unga in high school football, and I can tell you just what Harvey was in high school was already downright elite, and what he became at BYU took it to yet another level. And he's looking to find the same type of guy or guys that he was for BYU, the guys he's coached, obviously, in Allgeier and LJ Martin. And yeah, I'm sure the BYU's not going to rest on their laurels and think, hey, we're good here, because they understand that they have to continue to add talent continually to the pot. And that's just the name of the game in competing in the Big 12. And this BYU football program, they have transformed themselves seemingly overnight into a Big 12 contender. And yes, NIL has played a role. The transfer portal has played a very big role for BYU as well. But the nice part is the culture, what BYU has done, the track record of success, the consistency value that Kalani Sitake, Aaron Roderick, even Harvey Unga deploy out there shows that, young man, if you come to BYU and you buy into what the Cougars are doing and essentially follow the process that BYU is, the tried and true process that BYU has established here, yeah, you're going to be on track to have some good success, if not outright incredible success. This BYU football program harbors no illusions of saying, hey, we want to, they legitimately think they can believe that. Let me restate that. They believe they can legitimately compete for a national championship, and they have every expectation of breaking through and playing in the college football playoff. While they may not make that run this year, they are building towards what they believe can be a annual Big 12 contender, if not a national title contender. And it does take time. It does take bringing in top shelf talent. But hey, the nice part is Ezra Sanelivi, if BYU signs off on him and the way that they've gone about bringing in running backs of recent memory, the stars that they've had, yeah, that should excite you of what Ezra Sanelivi's potential is, because what they've proven, at least with the BYU football program of late, is they can find stars seemingly anywhere. And like I said, make them stars in Provo, Utah.